Hello, I'm Belkis Perez. Thanks for tuning into Coral Gables Television. Today on Coral Gables Now, a special center for children with autism opens in the city. Plus, find out how Tai Chi can help relieve arthritis.
Having a hectic day at work? No worries, Coral Gables has you covered as your latest venture will offer free music at lunchtime.
And getting a job can be difficult in this economy. We'll tell you how to stand apart from the rest of the competition. Those stories and much more, Coral Gables Now starts right now. Welcome to Coral Gables Now. I'm Belkis Perez. We begin with a new center to help children with autism. The Crystal Academy is the first of its kind in Coral Gables, and joining us today to talk about it is the Academy's CEO, David Pike. Thank you so much, David, for being here.
My pleasure.
So tell me first off how the idea came about to have this academy here.
Everything that I do is based on and centered around my son, David, who is 8 now, who was diagnosed in 2004 on the autism spectrum as moderate to severely autistic by Dr. Tushman, Robert Tushman at the Dan Marino Center. Then my wife and I, our family, began down this journey of helping our son overcome autism. The work that was being done by his primary caregiver, Wendy Notley, at the Kendall Speech and Language Center down in Kendall, she's a tremendous therapist and does a great deal of work to advance the cause, to advance the program, rather than simply execute. And so several years ago, my wife and I decided that this wasn't just about David, it was about autism in general. And so we partnered with Wendy my background is as a systems engineer, and we partnered with Wendy to take her program and create computer software and documentation around it to do what's formerly known as industrializing, but to take it and make it something that could be taken out of her head and all the notebooks and everybody else's head at the center and reproduced. Because there's simply one of the things that we realized on our journey was there are so few options for parents, even to get appropriate early diagnosis, but then to get the help that they need for their children, that we wanted to get involved in giving parents more choices.
And so did David end up going to this Crystal Academy as well? Or
no, by the time we opened Crystal Academy, we're doing strictly early intervention. The school system is working with the older children, and there are other organizations opening up to help the older children. There's just so few choices for the little ones for the early diagnosis, and so we went down the road of early diagnosis and early therapy, early diagnosis, early intervention, and early therapy. And by the time we were open and running, David was past that age. He's 8 now, and we're generally stopping with children roughly at 7. Most of our work is done in developmental age rather than chronological age. At what level does the child function, as opposed to how old they are. But my David has come far enough along where the services we provide are no longer appropriate for him.
Wow. And you
Which
opened
is the good
this,
news.
I know, exactly. And you opened it in 2009.
Yes, November.
Okay, November of 2009. And can you tell me a little bit about the children then that you do serve at the center?
Yes, we have children as young as 2.5 years old and as old as almost 6 now. All of our children are referred to us by, well, we've had some referrals by parents, but most of our referrals come from either local pediatricians, neurologists, the Dan Marino Center, Michael Alessandri and UMNSU card. But they are children who are diagnosed with autism, PDD, ADHD, but all of these diagnoses have all been grouped under the umbrella of autism spectrum disorder. It's no longer just autism, now it's ASD, or autism spectrum disorder, and it is a spectrum of disorders that are similar in nature. They're all genetically based and all similar in nature in as much as they affect neurology in a similar way, causing similar sorts of developmental delay that are approached therapeutically in a similar fashion.
This center, it's the first of its kind, I had said, in Coral Gables.
Yes.
Why did you guys pick Coral Gables, and what does it say for the need out there that, you know, you guys were the first? There is now recently another one that opened, but tell me about that need.
Well, there are several questions there. The first, why Coral Gables, has several answers, one of which I've got to get a plug in here for the St. James Lutheran Church, which is where we're located in just north of downtown Coral Gables. They have been absolute saints in helping us. They've been incredibly supportive, and the facility is beautiful. It's idyllic. We have a fabulous playground, a courtyard. Our facility has all of the administrative wing of the church, which has a courtyard with a big tree, and it's all walled and gated. I mean, we couldn't have designed the thing to be more perfect for a center. We wanted to be relatively close to Wendy, and my wife and I, our family lives in Coral Gables, and so as we built the systems necessary to open Crystal Academies, we decided we'd make the first one close by just as a matter of convenience. And Coral Gables had nothing, so and the church offered us the opportunity to be there, and it was just a perfect marriage.
Did you notice that, you know, once you got into this, that there were more parents just like you out there looking for a place?
There are thousands of children in the Miami-Dade area, children that I will never see or get to see. The CDC numbers in the late 1990s, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control in America, created a set of protocols by which they would start judging autism in a very controlled and regular fashion so that the numbers would make sense year after year statistically. And in 2002, they produced their first results testing 8-year-olds for 1 in 110 births. The estimates being 1 in 110 children being born in America were being born somewhere in the autistic spectrum. Roughly twice as many males as females. And then 8 years later, they did the second set of studies. And in 2010, they produced the new results, which is 1 in 110. So we see where the numbers are going. 2 points on a graph. You can't really project much farther, but we see it's going up no matter what. And so there must be, it is very difficult to find them. It takes a while for parents to get appropriate diagnoses. Pediatricians, God love them, don't have even the appropriate facilities to diagnose. So eventually parents reach the point where they say, wow, my child isn't just late speaking, there's something more wrong, and they see someone like Dr. Tushman at the Dan Marino Center and get a real diagnosis, and then they start looking for facilities. The public system is beginning to offer they're working very hard and beginning to offer some meaningful services for children on the spectrum. They don't have the money or the resources to offer everything these children need, but they are doing a heroic job with what they have. But there are thousands of children in the Miami-Dade area alone that aren't receiving the services that they could benefit from.
And these services and programs that are offered at the center, are they full-time? Is it more like a school environment, or do they go in just for appointments? How does that work?
Yes.
Both
all of the
both?
Yeah, all of the above. It depends on the child and their
Okay.
need. The older children get academics, and there's a scholastic component to developmentally appropriate scholastic component. The little ones obviously aren't doing schoolwork; they're coming in for therapy. We have a program developed by Wendy Notley called the First Step Program, which is a 3-hour per day, 5-day per week program that includes a variety of therapeutic interventions. It is fundamentally language and ABA, which is applied behavior analysis, the most mainstream and peer-reviewed of modern autism therapies. It is based in those, but it includes music therapy and vestibular work. I could probably throw a whole bunch of polysyllabic words, proprioceptive and all of that, but we probably don't have time to talk about all of them. But it includes everything that we're finding, everything that the mainstream community is finding to be helpful in every way that we can bring them in for the children. It also depends on the child. At their greatest state of developmental need, they will do a certain kind of work more than others, and as they advance, then it shifts into other sorts of more appropriate therapy interventions.
And do you have any plans? I know it's been just a year, but any plans to expand these programs now that you've been in it for a year and you've seen the need?
Yes, certainly, and we are constantly expanding. Last year, for the summer program, we realized that parents would bring their children to us for a 3-hour-a-day program, and then do what? Where do the children go? God love the daycares. They aren't prepared to deal with our children, with autistic children, and so we developed what we call total care programs, so that there was the intensive program, which is, because it is so personnel intensive, is reasonably expensive. for parents, but we developed an appropriate care alternative for the rest of the day that we do not present as intensive therapy, but an appropriate environment where your child is appropriately cared for by people who understand even what therapy they're in, much less what their moment-by-moment needs are. So we expanded to that, so the parents would not have to pick their children up and take them where.
Right.
And we are breaking that into multiple sorts of aftercare so that the older kids that come to us, those that are more advanced and whose development needs are lessening, get more pre-academics, more academic support, whereas the little ones are given more social time, more floor time, more engagement time. And we are working with UM-CARD to add more of the newest findings in engagement therapy, or therapy that is designed to take the intensive work that we do and teach the children to better generalize it into their lives. You can teach a child what two objects are the same. Show me the two same objects, but generalizing that into the world where they can pick up a sock and know to go find the same matching sock is a next step. And we're working right now mostly on how to take our therapies out of the little rooms we do ABA in and get them out on the floor and naturalize and generalize these skills into their normal world. So those are the sorts of things we're working on now.
Well, thank you so much, David. Congratulations for opening the center.
My pleasure.
And we wish your son much luck, and you as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And if you'd like more information on the Crystal Academy, you can always go onto their website. It's crystalacademycg.org. Coral Gables Now is just getting started. Next, it's hard but not impossible. We have advice on how to land a job in this economy. Plus, see how relaxing your lunch break can be when you attend jazz in the Gables. And we'll show you some moves that may relieve your arthritis. Coral Gables Now, we'll be right back.